All right, today we're talking about why some salons build jobs and other salons build careers.
Love it.
Yeah, happy Monday. Welcome back, everybody. How's it going, Jen?
Good.
Yeah, pretty good. All right, I guess let's just jump in. We'll start with our opening takes.
And I heard that.
Yeah, we got our audio back. Last week, I heard it in my headphones, and I was like, everything looks good. But then when I edited, there was no audio.
No.
So, and I'm like 95% sure that I left that in because I was like, this is fun. That's stuff that usually gets edited out, right? But anyways, we always start our podcast with opening takes and usually go first, Jen.
Sure, I'll go. Last weekend, we had the opportunity to volunteer at our kids' school for hair and makeup for the play, The Real Alice in Wonderland. And I think it's so important to get out in your community and get involved. Todd does all of our, I'll call it digital marketing, everything that gets us in front of everybody who Googles through Google. But that's not enough. Like, we need to connect with clients and people and get out in our surrounding towns. So one of the things we talk about all the time, I have small kids. So volunteering in the town we live in for their schools, I love because it gives back for their stuff that they're involved in. But it also shows our staff the importance of community and giving back and also what that looks like. And then on top of that, I always explain to them why we're doing it. What does that mean? What do you get out of it? They don't get paid. I'm asking them to volunteer their time, asking them to show up. I'm asking them to basically, in 45 minutes, deal with a bunch of middle schoolers who need hair and makeup and are off the chain, insane, crazy. But I need them to understand, and I tell exactly what I said in the beginning. Todd's in charge of the digital marketing, our Google, everything that gets out to all the people in the surrounding towns, taken care of. But that doesn't take care of the customer service, the customer experience part of what this business is like. So when we volunteer in these schools, you're touching these kids, you're making a difference in their life, and you're giving them this cool opportunity to feel kind of famous. Like, we had boys and girls getting their hair done, getting their makeup done. It was so cool. And the gratitude, not only from the children, from the staff of the school, and then from the parents. And this is where you start to make a difference. A lot of our staff is young. We talk about that all the time. So their avatar client is literally this preteen through probably early 20s. So for them to get in these schools and volunteer, they're most likely going to get a fairly good client for a good amount of years through that. And once I get them to see that, it's game on. And the volunteers that come through our staff, it's amazing. And they have fun. They're learning. They're put in a different kind of atmosphere with this fast-paced, quick turnaround. And then they feel good too. And their cup is full. And then out the end of the day, in the next few weeks and months, when they start getting new clients out of it, they see also the value of what volunteering in the community looks like. So just wanted to share. I think it's fun. It's a great thing that we do. And I love that we're able to give back and that we have a staff that believes in giving back to the community.
One correction, and I try so hard not to do this.
Correct away.
I don't solely do our digital marketing,
True.
Sub that out.
But it's on your plate. You do whatever it is that makes it happen.
It and do the site and do the social media, which is lacking lately. And all the content that we do, I do all that
handle
stuff.
It all, so I don't have to even think about it.
A big chunk of that, all the SEO stuff and whatever is subbed out. All right, my opening.
Honestly, I thought you were going to say I used a wrong word somewhere. Didn't think it was going to be that.
No, I don't. I think we don't really correct opening takes. It's your take, so you get to say it however you want.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
It's our show, so we can do whatever we want. So my opening take is help first. And that's something that I learned from a past business mentor of mine when I had my gym. And it was always approach situations from a help first perspective. How can I help other people? And with social media, you see a lot of like me sort of stuff out there. Like, I'm an artist and I'm a boss and all this stuff. But you don't see a whole lot of people helping. And this morning was a good example of, Jen, I'm just going to pump my wife up here because I feel like it. But it was a great example of how Jen comes from a help first perspective. So we had some prank calls into schools in the area, and it was a little chaotic because kids were stuck on buses, and one of the schools or two of the schools were evacuated, and the police had to go in and just make sure everything was cool. And this happened a few years back too, where it was like a prank. It's really not funny. So if you're listening and you've ever considered doing that, don't, or I'll spin kick you through the wall if I find out. But here's the deal. After we figured out that our kids were safe, Jen's first thought was, how can I help? So you reached out to someone, one of our neighbors that you knew had to get to work, and you were like, hey, you can drop your daughter off over here, or I'll wait outside for her, whatever makes you comfortable. And I just thought that was a great example of just putting other people first. And just like, who even thinks of that? Everyone's on Facebook like, I'm so inconvenienced and whatever. Everyone just complains about themselves. And your first thought, and I'm proud of it as your husband, as your partner, as whatever, was once you got the situation handled in your mind, was to, how can I help other people who are stressing about this as well? And I just thought that was cool.
And she took me up on it. So it was neat to be able to help. I happen to have today off, which is why I was like, I have time and happy to open the home. And it's also, it's like we have a good neighborhood, and I don't know, it's nice to be able to help when you can. And it makes, it makes you feel good. We're in a crappy situation. When the first call came in, our middle schooler kids had already gotten on the bus. So I was worried for them and what have you. And it's nice if you can do something to help other people. Like, it's just who I am.
Yeah, and I think you just took over my opening take there, but that's
sorry.
Cool. I'm just kidding. I just think it's cool. And if more people approached their business that way, I think they would find more success, is what I was getting at.
I would agree.
I'm just using you as the example. So
thanks.
When you go into a situation or a conversation with someone, come across as, how can I help this person? And you'll be surprised what they do for you. All right. Anyways, let's dive into this episode. So I've been thinking about this idea a little bit, Jen, of, I guess it goes back to what I was saying back in November. There's going to be a separation of salons, and you're going to have these, for lack of a better term, something I just came up with was these tier A salons that are innovating and trying to actively navigate the future of what business looks like, or what the salon industry looks like, or just life in general. And then you're going to have these people that just stay complacent and are okay with that. And so you see that on Facebook and Instagram and social media a lot, where some people are like, people just come and go through my business. That's because you're creating a job for them. It's just a job. There's not really like any investment there. And then the flip side of the equation is people that have successful salons, where successful in relation to retention of employees and building an actual team, which allows you to then have a culture. And I just thought it would be interesting to talk about, and I don't want to preach. I don't want to say you have to do it our way. I don't want to say that you need to do whatever. I just want to point out why these things might happen or be happening. And it is one or the other. So if you haven't put much thought into this, you're probably building jobs for people. You're probably building a job for yourself, because you're building one or the other. You have to be.
Right. And what you're doing is those stylists or barbers or whoever are coming into your business, they're literally just looking at, I got to sit at this chair today and get my job done. They're not coming in feeling like they're part of something in that business, more than the chair, more than the hair they do, more than everything. Like, you really have to create this feeling of where they feel valued and part of something that's bigger than them, and something that's bigger than them that they couldn't do on their own.
Yeah, true. Again, I don't want to say you have to, because I don't want this episode to be tactical. I just want to point out what's going on. I don't want to say this is what you have to do, because there might be people out there, Jen, that are like, I don't really care.
Totally fine. Keep doing how you're doing it.
And that is right. And that's great. You are going to have both of these businesses. There's no way that every single person is building careers for people, or we wouldn't see the amount of turnover in the industry as we see. And I haven't looked at numbers in a while, because it's hard to look at numbers and feel like they're accurate, because who's doing the research on it?
But we do see lots of posts on turnovers, whether you're rental or commission, just can't keep anybody. And if you're curious how to, then these are some ideas or suggestions that might change the way you operate in the future, or even starting today.
I think I saw 6. This is related, but not as far as retention of staff, but I'm sure it's a big part of it. I think I saw 6 just yesterday, salons closing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
On different Facebook groups. And I'm like, there has to be a better way. But also, it's okay. Some businesses are going to close. That's just how it is, especially when you have people that are just opening businesses with the technician's curse, which is looking at doing hair and thinking, oh, I do good hair, I'll do good in business. Those are two different skill sets. We've talked about that.
Vastly different.
Yeah, ad nauseum. And they're just two separate skill sets. And just because you're good at hair doesn't mean you're good at business. And just because you're good at business doesn't mean you're good at hair. Yeah. So those things aren't the same. But let's define the differences. So let's talk about a salon that is like a quote unquote job salon. I would describe these as transactional. It's like what you said, Jen. I come in, I do my work, I get a paycheck. And that's probably how they're treating clients too.
Yes, it's going to come full circle for sure.
These job salons are probably just focused on just filling the chair. I don't really care who I put there.
Quantity, quantity, quantity.
As long as somebody's behind that chair cutting hair.
Yep. My first salon, I was coached on 15-minute slots. What can you fill in 15 minutes? And look at your 15 minutes and try to get someone in every 15 minutes. Yeah,
I'm not talking about clients. I'm talking about staff. But yes.
But so for an employee, I'm looking at, so I'm just literally, now I'm focused on just the minutes, right? Like I'm not being treated anything better than just get people in and out. So now I look at it as a job. Like I'm just going to look at that chair as what can I do in 15 minutes? Not as I'm going to be creative and this is great. And I'm learning or whatever and having fun. There was nothing fun about that.
No, for sure not. I think that a job-focused salon is probably going to have short-term thinking. Probably going to be okay with inconsistent experience.
Yes.
Likely going to have little to no structure. And this is a big one for people listening because I've seen this with my own eyes. Jen, you had this at your last salon, but it's very stylist-dependent.
Right. They make the rules. They rule it all. Yes.
They rule it.
They're in charge, even if you don't think they are.
And this sort of structure, this job sort of salon, it works. Until it doesn't. It works as long as everything holds itself together. But
eventually it crashes.
Yeah, we'll get into that a little later too. So a career salon. This is a salon that's building careers for its staff. They're going to have a longer term plan. They have long term vision. They're thinking long term. It's structured. And the structure is upheld. There's buzzword systems in place. You have processes. There's team development. What about that one? Wow. Developing a team. Obviously, I'm being a little sarcastic there, but I still see a lot of people that are like, why would I invest in my staff? This is why.
I was just going to say, they're developing their staff with not the concern of if they leave. They're developing them with almost to where we are now, the concern of if they stay too long, how do we keep doing this?
Let's take a quick break.
Are you ready to elevate your leadership journey through exploring the wisdom of the ages? Subscribe to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast on all major podcast platforms, including Apple iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube Music. You can also find us everywhere else podcasts are available. If you find value in our episodes, please leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and of course, YouTube. We need those reviews to grow, and it is the easiest way to help other leaders and lovers of literature discover this show. And thank you for your support.
A career salon's probably focused on a more consistent experience. Definitely for the clients, but more so for the employees as well. And a career salon it's bigger than one person. One person leaving or even a group of people leaving is not going to make or break because, again, there's long-term vision, there's structure, they're doing these things. Like we do at Hello, I would say we build careers for people because you can stay at Hello and you'll constantly be pushed. You'll constantly be making more money than you made prior. And you'll constantly be improving yourself in and out of work.
Correct.
Because that's what we do. And again, I'm not saying one way is better or worse. I'm just pointing out that this is something I've noticed. And career salons, they're designed to grow people, not just fill books, not just fill downtime, not just fill empty chairs. So I guess we have to talk about why I would say most owners default to that job mindset. What do you got, Jen? Anything?
I would say poor leadership, can't have hard conversations, don't want to have direct conversations. And so they just let things slip and slide because they don't know what to do. And then they're probably scared if they have any hard conversation or put systems in place that people will leave because they haven't set it up for reasons for them to stay.
Yeah, I had in my notes urgency. So they need stuff, right? They need income. They opened this business. They took out a bunch of loans. They thought it was going to be easy. The bank called. They want their money back. The landlord called. They want their rent. The IRS called. They want their fucking taxes. Everyone's calling. Everyone wants a piece of it. And you don't have any money coming in. You don't have enough to cover it. So you just need income fast. And the other main thing that I had here, Jen, was just copying what they've seen.
Right.
And I don't think that most people choose to build this type of salon. I think they sort of just drift into it because, like you, it's easier.
Yeah. Again, if you're the technician, you're like, I want to run my own salon. And then you realize quickly being a business owner and being a technician behind the chair are completely different. How do you figure that out? Well, now you're probably just being the technician even more to pay all those bills, like you said. So you don't even have the bandwidth to actually run a team, grow a team. And we see this all the time. I don't have time to train people. How do you do this? You have to make the time. You have to figure this out. This is a plan that you already should have had before you opened, but they're so far behind that they can't get their brain wrapped around doing anything. And then, like you said earlier, before you know it, the team's leading the salon and they're in charge. And your top earners, you can't even have a conversation with them because if they did leave, then you would close.
I think a lot of people stumble into this sort of salon or structure because their mentality is just get busy. If I just get busy, it'll solve my problems. But that's not going to solve problems necessarily. It might, but then because you have short-term, right, because you have that short-term sort of thinking, now you're solving the same problems over and over again.
Yeah.
And you're always solving today's problems. You're never solving tomorrow's problems. There's a sound bite for you.
You're literally in a hamster wheel. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. They'll be like, that is me. And if you don't want to be in the hamster wheel, you're going to have to make some changes. And I'll be honest, it's not comfortable. It's not comfortable to grow. It's not comfortable to change things. When you rock the ship, everything rocks with you. But if you don't want to be in the hamster wheel, you're going to have to do these things.
Dude, I've been there too. I'm not.
Same.
Again, that's why I don't want to have an episode. A lot of our episodes are like, this is what we do at Hello. Try it or don't. And we give, this is what we would do. This is what we would do. In this episode, again, I just want to point out what's going on. The differences from observations. These are just observations that I've made recently in the salon world where I'm really starting to see it was my prediction that you're going to see a big split in salons. And I'm not talking about commission versus rental. That's a lame argument because there are great examples of both of those businesses.
And both are struggling for these things.
They're both offer, and even hybrid. I'm not a fan of the hybrid model, but there are examples of people crushing it with all of these models. So who would I be to say one is better than the other? Nobody. I wouldn't be anybody. I guess I'd be me still, but anyways. Jen, you said something about uncomfortable. Here's something that's an uncomfortable truth. You can't expect to build careers for people if your decision making is job level.
It's great.
A lot of people want the loyal clients, the strong teams, the consistent income, profit, to be able to sleep at night, but they're not creating a structure that supports any of those things. Which is why I think you said it in the beginning. Or no, was this what we said together? It works until it doesn't?
Yeah.
So this is a big one. And I put some time into this too, because yesterday when I was creating the show notes, I couldn't help thinking about all the people that might listen to this episode and think, I've been doing this for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and it's working. So what are you talking about? How many salons have we seen, Jen, that work for even decades, so 20 plus years, and then all of a sudden,
collapse.
A few core people leave, a couple more people leave, salon closes. And I don't think that doesn't come from somewhere that's building careers for people.
Right. Well, they don't see any opportunity, right?
Because I'm not even talking about the people that leave. That you can expect, we don't have turnover at Hello. The last person that left Hello, we left them. We told them to leave.
We left them.
Yeah. I guess we fired them, but that's kind of harsh. It was just a time to part ways thing.
Which happened.
No disrespect. But eventually people are going to leave, I would expect. Our staff tells us every day they're not leaving, and they will chain themselves to the side of the building. So maybe they won't leave. But anyways, my point is that if you're building careers, then you have a constant pipeline. So when a group of people leaves, you don't have to close your business, especially after 20 years. You should have figured out what you need to do if that was your goal. Again, if that's not your goal, then don't do it. And yeah, sure, maybe you'll luck out. Maybe you'll hold on to your business for 20 or 30 years, and then all of a sudden, one day, it'll close. But the reason that happens isn't that one day. It's not an overnight thing. It's all of the decisions that you didn't make or made leading up into that point that would cause that. Again, 20 or 30 years, that's a good run. Good for you. I'm just saying to all the people that, because I have talked to people before that are like, I've been doing it the complete opposite way and it's worked for me. I'm like, right, up until it doesn't. So again, you can be either one of these. You can change. If you're like, wow, that's me. I'm just creating jobs. I just hire anybody to fill the chairs. I'm stressed out. I would like to build careers for people because that sounds more stable. You can do that. You can switch it.
Yeah, it's not even, we've been doing it for a while, but I wouldn't even say it's that hard. It's just a mindset, a plan, some systems. Like you just have to have a longer term vision, and you have to be innovating and pivoting every year. You can't just be complacent and let things ride out.
It's just doing the work.
Yeah, and constantly.
Most people, Jen, I would argue most people, except maybe people coming right out of school that are like, I'm going to open a suite and blah, blah, blah. Most people know what they're supposed to be doing. They just don't do it.
Yeah.
That's where you need some sort of leadership.
The accountability.
Or a consultant or somebody so that you have, that accountability. Even if it's a friend that you're like, hey, you got to hold me accountable for this. I need to check in with you every Friday and text you the things that I accomplished, because they know if they don't accomplish anything, they don't get to send that text, and their friend's going to be like, wow, okay, you're supposed to text me, but you didn't. So even something silly like that. Yeah, you have these salons and it's working until it doesn't, but there's no evolution. That's a common theme I think we've seen talking to people. There's definitely no leadership growth. Everyone wants the quote unquote younger generation to grow up or change or want to work more or whatever, but you're not changing and evolving as a leader. So you can't expect that improvement from other people when you're not willing to do it.
That generation will do all the things you want, but you have to figure out how you inspire it, put it in place, and how you talk to them to get them excited about it. We do it all the time.
Say that again. What do we do all the time?
That generation will work. They will do like whatever it is that you want for them, but you have to learn how to talk to them, speak their language, and you have to find a way basically to make that environment sort of what they're looking for too. We do it all the time. We have success with that. Most of our staff is the generation that everyone complains about.
Yeah, it's always interesting to me. But again, we're focused. So at Hello, we are definitely focused on creating careers for people. We approach that from day one. It's part of our hiring process. It's part of, if you go back and listen to whatever episode we talk about our 4-part hiring, where there's shadowing, where we tell people like, it's nice to be picked, but you need to pick us too. Don't just pick us because we're the first salon to pick you, because you found us through school, social media, or whatever. And you're like, oh, that looks cool, I'll go there. No, you need to buy into what we're doing here, and we'll guide you along the way. And again, if we get into this and it's not a good fit, no hard feelings.
Right.
Because we've had that a bunch too, where people are like, oh, I think oftentimes, Jen, early on, we used to push people pretty hard immediately. Now we sort of take a little bit more of a laid back approach because we've adjusted.
Yes.
But I think people that we've had in the past think I'm just going to show up here for a paycheck like any other business. And they don't last. They quit, or we have to quit them because they're not bought in.
Right. It's obvious
So
since our team is already established too.
Yeah, and it doesn't work. You can't just show up half in, half out.
And there's lots of other salons that will take you that way. So
right, yeah, totally fine. Totally fine. Go there.
Find that, yeah.
Yeah, so the time thing where you're talking about a decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, this is like 30 years and these businesses are suddenly closing. It's not sudden. It's the time didn't fix their weak foundations. It exposed them. That's really what happened. Definitely, we talked about this already, but in my notes, I had the tier A sort of thing. You're just seeing right now, salons are either thriving or salons are either complaining about the economy. And by economy, that's just a placeholder for any external factor that you can think of that's not
blaming
in
yourself.
Your control. Yeah. The last thing you would want to do is blame yourself. So again, not trying to be judgmental. I get it. It's difficult, especially where if you want to make these adjustments and you haven't been doing any of this stuff, the first thing that has to go is your ego. And that's just a tough pill to swallow for people.
Yeah.
Because people think, I'm so friggin' good at the hair. They cannot get that out of their head. But I'm so good at the hair. Everybody's good at the hair. That's the prerequisite.
Yeah.
That is what it takes to play in the beauty industry. You've got to be decent at the hair.
And if you're not a good leader, the first place to start is apologizing or recognizing that you're not a good leader. And then what do you do to build that up? We had to, I think we talked about this before, like last year when we met with the team, they're like, you guys are so amazing. I'm like, let's talk a little bit of where we fell short this year because we need to talk about that too. And I appreciate that you think we're amazing, but we screwed up on some things and we just want to apologize for it. Nothing wrong with that. That's putting your ego aside. I don't mind doing that every day if it means we're building a better team.
Yeah, I agree. It's just so some of the things like these tier A things, that's where I would put hello. Again, not because we're better than anyone, just that we're thinking and we're trying to make changes in our business before we need to make changes in our business. Some of those things, what are some of the things we do is we're very growth focused. So again, even like Jen just mentioned, owning mistakes. So we had mistakes that we made last year or the year before that we sat our staff down and apologized for that 0 people even brought up.
Yeah.
They might not have even noticed if we hadn't told them. But part of pushing yourself and part of being a leader that I think is a stronger leader than not is not trying to get away with something.
Right. Yeah.
Not trying to ignore it like it didn't happen, because that's not integrity and that's one of our core values. Right? It's what you do when no one's looking.
Yeah.
I know that's cheesy, but it's true. Tier A salons are out there investing in their people too. They're putting their money where their mouth is, literally.
Yes.
Right? How much stuff do we pay for?
A
lot. And
constant.
It's a constant investment. And I'm talking cash. We pay money for things. It's not all free, and it's not all connections, and it's not all who you know. And some of the stuff costs money. Some of the stuff, we fly people in from halfway across the country, and we invest in education. We're taking our team out for outings. We take them out around the holidays. We didn't even do that this year.
No, we stayed.
I think we had talked about taking them out for a drink, though, a different time. And then we had a flood.
Oh, yeah. Well, there we are.
Because I think it was supposed to be in January. We were like, we'll get together after the holidays for a cocktail or a mocktail or whatever. Again, I'm not saying these things because I'm saying that like we're better than anybody. We're not. I'm not better than anyone.
We also...
Same. I'm just pointing out that it does take an investment, because a lot of people I've seen this on social media. A lot of people will say, I can't afford anything for my team. Okay, you can afford, then find stuff that doesn't cost money.
There's
and then
workarounds.
But you're thinking about today still.
Right.
If you think about long-term vision, how do you get to that point? Instead of just sitting there every year saying, I can't afford this, I can't afford this. What can you afford? Can you afford to, do you have a friend in the industry that can come in and will do you a solid and do a free class, or do a class where, and you take them to dinner after? Or if you don't have money to take someone for dinner after, then have them over your house. You got to eat, share your food.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. There is a way,
Gotta
though,
get
right?
creative. Yeah.
How can I do this? How can I,
And
get
if you
creative?
want things to change, you have to figure it out. That's part of your job as a leader, is to get creative, figure it out, use your connections, or start making connections. It is what it is. I will say on the growth part, which is really huge at Hello, it does not look the same year to year. Every year it changes dependent on what Todd and I need to see from each of our staff members, on what we want to see from them personally and technically. I know a lot of salons that might say, oh, we have growth, we do classes every year, but they do the exact same thing every year. That's not growing anything. That's boring. And that gets really like, nobody wants to go to it before you know it. So every year looks different.
Well, that would be more of a job focused salon.
But there's people out there probably like, I do that. But if you're doing the same thing every year, you're not doing it. Every year our team looks different. Even if our team is the same human beings, what they need and where they need to go is extremely different year to year.
Agreed. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a constant evolution, and that is your client and your team experience. How many owners out there have looked honestly, how many owners out there, if you're listening, have looked at the experience through your staff's eyes? What are they getting? Because often I think we get sucked into this, Jen, correct me if I'm wrong, but you get sucked into this. What am I getting out of this deal?
Right.
I gave you a job. I make your hours. I supply the clients. I supply the tools.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I get out of this? That's how people look at it.
You're supposed to do all that crap. That's your job description. And you picked that when you decided to open a business. So get over it.
Yeah. Again, if you want to operate this way, I'm not judging you. I think good for you that if you're happy. It stresses me out to think about, but it is what it is. Constant evolution, and I had building systems, investing in people, all that stuff. I didn't know if I'd say that. And all these things, they're not, especially at Hello, I will be the first to tell you, these things are not perfect.
No, nothing ever.
But there's intent behind them. Mm-hmm. We have a why. We don't just do stuff. And our staff, one of the things I love about our business is that our staff understands that they can come to us and ask why. Mm-hmm. Most often they don't have to, because we explain the why as we're rolling stuff out. Say, for example, we bring on a new color line. We explain why. It's not just, oh, guys, there was a deal on this, so we got it. Again, if that's we need retail to sell, so this one seems good. Or this one's not available on Amazon, so I got it. Whatever. And again, not judging. You do you. But when we bring on a new retail line, for example, we'll look at like the packaging. Look, this is sustainable or somewhat sustainable, or they've even put freaking thought into it, because some companies do not care. Mm-hmm. And that resonates with us. Or it comes from a small team and it's family run, or whatever, like the things, or their core values align with ours, or we thought this was cool, or whatever it is. And we explain, that's just one example, products. So even when we make silly changes, like, hey guys, there's a new system for cleaning your station, whatever. Here's why this works. Mm-hmm. Or here's why we're trying this. Or here's what we feel like we missed last time that we're hoping this solves. Whatever it might be. And I think when you do that stuff and you have intent, then you're building careers, because you're also showing your staff that you have that forethought, that you're thinking ahead. Where most job or other sort of salons are more reactive, mm-hmm. right? They're going to make changes, but only when they're forced to, mm-hmm. only when they come up. They stick to their old ways. That's one.
If I did everything the way I used to, woof.
Excuse me. Yeah. Again, your old ways might work until they don't. Mm-hmm. Even our ways, Jen, I'll constantly be like, is this working anymore? Is it like, what needs to break here?
Right.
What needs to be changed? And if you're not doing that stuff, even if your stuff does work, eventually something's going to happen, because if you aren't progressing, you're regressing by definition.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you were going to say something.
I was just going to say also, when you are with a staff having a growth mindset, intentionally putting things in place, explaining the why, what you are curating in those moments is trust. So this staff now trusts you for all the decisions you make, and they're pretty much on board all the time because they understand if there was a question, like Todd said, that you have an answer or you've already explained it, and that if something doesn't work, they trust that you're going to fix it or you're going to change it. So you start to get a different buy-in from your staff also this way, because now they have their growth, they see changes that you're making, they see the why, but they also trust these processes. And in a job setting, there's no trust, there's really nothing. There's no alliance at all, which is why they come and go. It's just a job.
No, those are the businesses where there's no cohesion. So how many times have you been in a business, Jen, where they're just like, oh, I don't know how they do it here?
Yeah.
Like you'll go to a restaurant and ask a question. They'll, oh, I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean you're not sure? How do you work here?
Often.
How do you perform your tasks if you're not sure? And that's how a lot of salons are. We've been to salons where there's no cohesions. The owners think one thing is happening. The staff will tell you a completely different story. And the front desk staff is just hiding. No one knows what's going on at all. No one wants to deal with anything. Those are your salons too that are typically going to be blaming, again, I'm not judging, but you're blaming the economy, you're blaming the generations, you're blaming all the external factors. Oh, it was like really snowy this year. But yeah, you can't change that. You're not going to influence the economy with your small business. You're not going to change the economy. So figure out how to get it to work for you. If you want to build careers and you're walking around blaming the economy or talking down to the quote unquote younger generation, do you think those people are going to want to stick around in your business for years?
Not.
No, definitely not.
Which means you're not even treating them like adults, which they are. You don't have to like it, but they are.
I think, so I struggled with my notes yesterday, Jen, on how to word this because I don't want to come across as judgmental. So I'm going to use a word, and I'm going to use the word by the actual definition. And I'll give you the definition first. And it's a lack of knowledge. And I think a big part of the beauty industry is just ignorance. There's a lot of ignorant salon owners. Again, I don't mean that derogatory. They don't know what they don't know.
Right.
They don't know how to run a business because they're stuck on the technical side. Mm-hmm. They're stuck on that technician's curse. I'm great at hair. I'll be great at business. Not how it works, Sally.
And then once the business part gets too hard, they just dig their head in the sand and they do the technical part because that's what they're good at.
Yeah. So yeah, you get trained you get trained as a technician. You ignore a bunch of stuff. You get really good at hair. And then you think, I'll just be good at this. And again, leadership is a different skill set. Mm-hmm. Building systems, it's a different skill set. Running a business is a different skill set. That's why you see businesses and big companies. If you've ever studied or read about or learned about at all, go on YouTube and search something up here. But when you look at big companies, they'll have a CEO. CEO is there to drive the vision of the company. Then you'll have a COO. The COO is there to manage the day-to-day. How does the company actually work? Mm-hmm. They put together the systems. They build it out. You probably have a CFO. That's your money person. That's the, hey, guys, we got to put money here and we got to move money here. And this is our projections. And so you have all those roles. Why do big companies have that? Because they're all different skill sets. So in this industry, you can't just, I mean, you can. Again, I'm probably coming across as preachy, but I'm not trying to. It's not your fault. You weren't taught this. Mm-hmm. Schools don't teach this, and they should not.
Right.
They should stay in their lane. They should teach the technical stuff. They should not be teaching you business at all.
Yeah, that's your job to figure out after.
Yeah, they are not business schools. They don't have the time in 1,500 hours or whatever it is. They don't have the time to teach you business. You can be doing that stuff on the side. You can learn on YouTube. You can get books from your library for free. You can learn about this stuff if you want to. But again, going back to big companies, that's why they have these really powerful people in these roles. And that's why they're well compensated. Mm-hmm. I know there's a lot of hate on CEOs don't deserve millions of dollars. Well, they're solving problems for millions and millions of people every day and getting their products in front of them. And your income in every book I've ever read is directly proportional to how many people you solve problems for. So there you go.
I was like, there you have it.
Yeah. None of that stuff's just going to automatically show up. You're not just going to go, oh, I'm a leadership coach. It just doesn't work. You're going to have to study it. You're going to have to read about it. You're going to have to put it into practice.
Yeah, it takes time. And you're going to have to make tons of mistakes to get better at it.
That's another thing that's difficult. I would say this industry is very egocentric. And again, not judging. I just think that's the nature of it. It's very me. Just go look at social media. Go look at Instagram. All of it is, look what I created. Look what I did. Look what I did. Look at me. I did this color. It's never about, how about flip it? How about you can still do it, but I made this client happy.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're making it about the client.
Mm-hmm.
This client allowed me to do this on their hair. This client chose me. There's different ways to frame the same thing. And that's a big downfall because a lot of people don't grow out of that. They never grow out of it. And that's the truth. That's not just in hair. That's in just people in general.
They're the star of their own show.
That's all you can ever be. I can only watch this thing called life through my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I can only see it through my eyes. I wish I could see it through other people's. That's why I love books and movies. But at the end of the day, we all can't be leaders. That's not how it works. Not everyone will be able to develop that skill set. And even if you go out there and you read all the books, because there's another thing that you can do. You can go out there and get all the information, which is not lacking. There is no reason that you all right, all the information for anything you could possibly want to do, you could get for free.
Mm-hmm.
Just how it is. There's this thing called the internet. It came out a little while back.
Now, here's the problem. Putting that in practice is very difficult for people. You can read all the books, but if you don't put it in practice, it does you no good.
Yeah, just because you have the information, if you don't do anything with it. And again, even if you do something with it, not everyone is going to be able to lead. Mm-hmm. Not because anything's wrong with you, just because you don't have that skill set. Not everyone can become president. Why? Because not everyone can get the vote of millions of people.
Yeah,
because there's some sort of buy-in that they're not buying into you. I think once people get past that, the industry would completely change overnight if that ever happened. But either way, I would say if you don't want to end up with the salons that are just creating jobs and you want to change into a salon that has leadership and structure and all those things and wants to create careers for people, go do it. Take one small step.
Mm-hmm. Baby steps.
Take one small step, nudge something, put something into place for culture, do something, figure out a way to offer classes even if you don't have the money. Figure something out. Treat your team to something. I don't know what, I'm literally just throwing ideas out there. And again, the last thing I want to do is judge. I don't care. I never think I'm better than anyone. I'm probably lower than a lot of people listening. I had to judge myself. I'm harsh, but I think it's just becoming aware of what you're building and then having intent behind it. If you want to have one of those quickie cuts places where you don't care who's behind the chair, it's just in and out, and that's how you want to run your business, and it's like a quick stop haircut place, good for you. I would say still run it with intention so that you don't have to worry about doing the same things over and over again. You're just relying more on volume. There's nothing wrong with that.
Different business model.
Yeah, you're definitely building something, though, whether you're building a tier A salon or you're not, you're doing something. It has to be one or the other. Yeah. I don't know how else to say it. So
true.
I guess we can wrap up there. There are a bunch of episodes we've done recently that I feel like all tie into the same theme. So I don't know what we're going to talk about next week because I haven't planned that yet.
Okay.
But I'll go plan our 5 or 6.
Great.
I think I have in my notes somewhere the next 25, but I don't know what order. Usually when we talk about something and then it pulls out the next episode. Oh, we should talk about this or whatever. Anyways, I don't know. If people are still listening, thanks.
Yeah.
Reach out if you have questions or need help. And yeah, do you. But just be mindful about it. All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.